If you feel stuck having to constantly count while playing a song, just so you can play that fill at the right time or make sure you hit the chorus at the right time, then today's lesson is for you. Most drummers are missing this critical skill that allows you to comfortably play with a band, feeling the song and feeling the fills so that you don't have to constantly count. But this is something that you can learn, and today I'm teaching you what I'm calling the Cymbal Crash Exercise, which will free you from doing math when you're supposed to be playing music. You can do this. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. So glad you're hanging out. I help self-taught beginner drummers know what to practice so they can nail songs and become the drummer others want to jam with. And hey, while you're here, and especially if you're a beginner, I have a free gift for you. Odds are the big struggle when you're starting out on the drums is just not knowing what to play in order to learn songs. So like, what grooves do I need to play? What kick pattern? What fills? I don't know any fills. How am I supposed to get up and running having fun when I don't know these things? So I want to give you a hack, literally a cheat sheet. This is my 25 practical rock grooves and fills e-guide. This PDF guide has actually more than 25, spoiler alert. There's a whole bunch of grooves, a whole bunch of fills. You can learn these by looking at the notation, but also listening to the included audio examples. And so you'll actually get really good at reading the notation in the process, but you can also just learn by ear. Learn these, and I promise you, you'll be up and running playing 95% of pop, rock, country songs that you hear. And that's gonna just empower you to have fun on the drums and not get stuck in the nitty gritty early on, because let's be honest, we wanna play songs. That's my goal for you. My mission is to help you get good at playing songs, and this is gonna get you there faster. So go grab that 25 grooves and fills guide. It's gonna help you out. Let's get on with today's lesson. I feel like I'm so busy counting and doing math that I struggle to play music. I've heard that time and time again from so many students where they're like, is counting necessary? Like, how am I supposed to play songs well if I'm not counting? I feel stuck because I hate math, but I'm stuck here doing math. I feel like I should be having fun and playing music. And so this is a frustrating thing, and a student once shared with me this exact struggle, and he said that he wasn't solving it simply by playing more songs. He was practicing a bunch, playing a lot of songs, but he was still struggling with feeling like he needed to count in order to know when the next thing was happening or when the fill was coming. And the truth is, sometimes solving this requires intentional practice. Yeah, sometimes by just playing a whole bunch, it might fix itself over the years. If you are already a gigging drummer, you're playing a bunch, then most likely you're working through this. But sometimes early on, this is a frustrating issue, and we can kind of hack the process and solve it more quickly with intentional practice. And that's what we're getting at today. Here's the deal. If you practice intentionally making yourself feel the length of song sections, you will free yourself from having to count. That's the big idea today. That's the truth that we're getting into, and I think this is going to help you out a lot. I'm calling this a cymbal crash exercise, not because it's all about playing cymbal crashes. That's literally just what we're doing as our mile markers. We're going to mark time and mark the passage of time as we play a groove with a cymbal crash. It can be anything. If you got a cowbell, you can hit a cowbell instead of the cymbal crash. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's what I'm going to be doing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my metronome to 80 beats a minute. Doesn't matter what tempo. That's just the number I'm picking. And I'm going to play along to that for the exercise, so you can play along with me. This is just it's a three-step exercise with a fourth step that's kind of a bonus. But here's what we're doing. We're going to play a cymbal crash every downbeat. So we're just going to play a basic groove. Doesn't matter what the groove is. I'm going to make it super simple. So if you're a total beginner, you can start playing along with me here, just with a basic money beat. I'm going to play a groove, and every downbeat, that means every beat one, I'm going to hit a cymbal crash. So it's going to sound like crash, ba, doom, doom, crash, ba, boom, ba. And that's literally all we're going to do here in step one. And so literally that's it. As obnoxious as that sounds, where it's just like a constant crashing, a crash on every downbeat, super annoying. We're never gonna actually do that in music. Well, we won't say never. Most of the time, we're not gonna play a crash every downbeat like that, especially with that kind of groove, that kind of feel. But the point is, I wanna make sure that you are always feeling where beat one is. You need to always know where beat one is when you're playing. And most music that we play is in 4/4 time. We're just counting to 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, and so on. If you can always know where beat 1 is, we're forcing ourselves to pay attention to that by playing a cymbal crash, but I want you to get to where you don't need to hear the cymbal crash in order to know where beat 1 is. Our next step is we're going to play the cymbal crash every 2 bars. So we're making sure we can feel the passage of time, feel the passage of 2 bars. What I want you always challenging yourself to do in this exercise is not count. You shouldn't have to count to play a crash every beat 1. Boom, da, boom. But that should become so autopilot, you don't have to think twice about it. Same with every 2 bars. You should not be having to think about it. Here's what that sounds like if we do a crash every 2 bars. Just like that, a little bit less annoying, right? Because it's less crashage going on. So hopefully that was pretty simple, pretty easy, and you can do that yourself and know that, all right, I'm hitting a crash every 2 bars. Now, if you've had trouble with this, and if you feel like you've had a lot of struggle with feeling the passage of time in music, then this next step is probably going to be where you need to focus, because these first 2 are generally pretty easy, even if you're a total beginner. But now we're going to do a crash every 4 bars. That's every 4 measures. That means if we were counting, we're counting to 4 twice. But remember, we don't want to count. We want to just feel this. You've got to learn to feel what 4 bars feels like. It feels nice and even and square. Most music is made up of 4, 8, and 16 bar phrases. And if you can feel 4 bars reliably and know, hey, that was 4 bars, that's going to help so much, because you don't need to count to 4. You don't need to count to 8. You don't need to count to 16, because these are things we naturally feel. And 99% of songs do exactly that. Most songs don't have weird, odd bar counts. It's all pretty straightforward. So here we go with a crash every 4 bars. Remember, challenge yourself to not count, but to feel. Don't count, just play, and when it feels like it's been 4 bars, hit the crash. Play along with me. I'm also giving you some practice tracks you can download for free so that you can do this on your own at home. And that'll make it so clear, and you'll know exactly if you're on track. So here we go. This is a crash every 4 bars. And so on, and so on. So you can download the practice tracks. I'll tell you a little more about those, which basically are that right there, just for a much longer period of time. So you can play along, and as you're playing, you'll hear that cymbal crash there at the designations that we've determined. And so you'll know, you'll hear that and you'll know, oh, that was it. Yep, I was with it. Or, oh, okay, I was a measure off. Let me try that again. That'll help you out so much in practicing this. Now, I also want you to practice this with 8 bar and 16 bar sections. So 4 bars is pretty quick and easy, and especially at a quicker tempo. If we were going faster than this, it would not be difficult at all. When you're going slow, 8 bars is a pretty long stretch. 16 is a really long stretch. But you can pick your own tempo if you want to. So here's what it would sound like if we do every 8 bars. Now at this point, because it's 8 bars, that's a long time. You can cheat and you can play a little something there after 4 bars. We're not going to do a cymbal crash because that's kind of the big thing. But what we could do is just play a small fill, like just hit a tom or something to mark for our ear. Okay, that was 4 bars. That was 4. Now we're going to do another 4 and then the cymbal crash. Now, really the more challenging way to do this is to do nothing there at the end of the 4 bars and just challenge yourself to feel it without playing anything explicit. But I give you permission to cheat just a little bit. Here's what I mean by that. Here's what we might do doing the 8 bar phrases. and so on. So right there, I just played a little fill. The first time I just hit a tom, the second time I did a ga-ga, but without a cymbal crash there to mark the end of 4 bars, and then a big cymbal crash to mark the end of the next 4. And so that's a really cool approach you can take to help explicitly, physically play something to match up with what you're hearing in your ear as you're learning to feel these time blocks. So then what you could do, I'm not going to demonstrate the 16 bars just for sake of time, because 16 bars is a long time. But at 16, you can do that same concept where you could say, all right, after 16 bars, I'm going to hit this crash. How about at 8 bars, I'm just going to tap this ride cymbal. And so I'm going to play for 8 bars, and I'm going to hit the ride gently. Then after 16, I'm going to hit a crash. Or I'm going to play a little fill every 4 bars, something really small every 4 bars, but then I'm going to hit the crash at the end of the 16. What's so helpful is deciding those things ahead of time. That way you're thinking about those things and you have these audible mile markers as you're playing. Again, I think the more challenging way to do this is to only play a cymbal crash. That way you're forced to feel it without physically playing something to determine, the in-between, subdividing the measures or the phrases. But just my opinion. You can do what you want to do here. I want you to download the practice track so that you can check your work, basically. You can play along. So one of these will do there will be the crash every 2 bars and the crash every 4, crash every 8. These just loop for minutes and minutes. So you can play along to these and be able to do whatever you want to do and always know, okay, I heard the crash, that was it, I'm on track, or I wasn't on track, let me try that again. An extra level you can do here, which we were kind of getting into anyways there. This would be your step 4. Repeat this with a particular fill. So instead of playing a crash, do a fill. So for the crash every measure, you could do something like, just some sort of little fill or something like that. Or for the every 2, you could play. Whatever, a fill to mark the time, a cowbell to mark the time, anything you want to play. Point is not what we're physically playing here. The point is not the cymbal crashes or the fills or the cowbell or the splash or whatever obnoxious thing you've got on your kit that you want to play there to mark the time. Totally fine. The point is we want to get good at feeling the time. That is such a critical skill that so many drummers miss. And if you don't have that skill, you're going to struggle when you're playing songs. When you're playing with a band, there's going to be unnecessary anxiety over feeling, okay, when does that fill come? When does the chorus come? And you're trying to count, and so you're stuck there doing math when you need to be playing music. It's such a common struggle, and it's not something you need to be dealing with. And so I hope that this super simple, even silly at times, exercise helps you overcome this, because ain't nobody got time to be counting while playing basic rock songs that should not require us to count. So go grab those practice tracks, go download those, they're totally free. You can take them to your practice room, put them on your phone, whatever, they are downloadable, and just play along to those. They're at 80 beats a minute, just like I was playing. You can then from there set your metronome to whatever other tempo you want to practice this in whatever way you want as you grow and get better at this. But hey, what will this do for your playing in the long run? Well, number one, in 99% of cases, you won't have to count anymore. There is that 1% of cases where you've got weird songs where it's like there's a half measure here or there's a 3-bar phrase here, but that's rare. 99% of songs, you're not going to have to count. You'll be able to focus on the melody and therefore playing musically, because that's where all great drum parts and kick patterns and everything we play comes from. It should all stem from the melody. You've got to be able to listen to the melody in order to play musically. That's key. If you're counting and you're doing math, you're not going to be playing musically. At least it's very difficult to. That's kind of an advanced skill to be able to count while also playing musically. That's not something I want you worrying about, though. Let's just focus on one or the other. Let's not count. Let's play music. Number 3, you will be less stressed playing songs or playing with a band. Believe me, there's a lot less stress when you can just feel the song and feel, okay, we're coming up on a bridge. Okay, we're coming up on a fill into a chorus. Everything becomes so much more predictable and less scary. And so it literally, this becomes a safety net for you. And lastly, you'll feel so much more confident and professional, because this is a pro-level skill that you need to develop as a beginner if you want to be confident. This helps you so much with just confidently playing. So, question for you, thinking toward playing a gig with a band, what is your biggest fear? Maybe you've already been gigging. If so, what are the big fears you've dealt with? Maybe you're thinking about gigging. You want to get better at learning songs. You're thinking about you know, my dream is to play with a really good band and play covers or play original songs. Well, there's usually some fear associated with that. I know there was for me before I ever played with a band. There were things I was terrified of. What is your biggest fear? If you feel so inclined and you want to share it, put that out in the open here in the comments. Let's talk about our fears regarding playing, because here's the deal. The reason why I'm asking you this question, based on what I've heard from students, whether one-on-one, students in my paid membership community, students who have emailed me, students who have commented. I send out surveys all the time, and so I always ask about what are your biggest fears. And based on what I hear all the time, this exercise will help you solve most of those big fears. Because the biggest fears involve getting lost in a song, not knowing the arrangement, playing a fill at the wrong time, going into a chorus early, dropping out when you're not supposed to drop out, coming in when you're not supposed to come in. All of those silly things that are big fears that we have that are keeping us from playing with a band, and yet they're so solvable by this fundamental core skill that I've been teaching you today and that you will master when you take action on this. And so learn to feel the passage of time, do this, and I promise you there's going to be less fear, less anxiousness going on with gigging, with playing with a band, and you're just going to feel so much more confident and able and empowered. So, hey, I hope this has helped you out a whole bunch. I hope this lesson's been valuable to you. Go grab those downloadable practice tracks. And also grab that 25 practical rock grooves and fills guide. That's gonna help you out a whole bunch if you're a beginner, just giving you some cheats, some grooves to play, some fills to play, so you can get on it, playing songs and having a blast on the drums. So hey, as always, you can do this. You are fully capable of mastering the drums when you take action and you practice and you're disciplined and you work at it, which I believe you're gonna do, especially if you stuck with me all the way to the end of today's lesson. But hey, you can do it. Stay non-glamorous. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you on the next lesson.